I'm Nathaniel Holmes, a trainer at CSIS. Presenting with me today is Kyron Pagulayan, also a trainer. And in support, we have Slyman Ahmed, Matthew Clark, and Marshall Isabel. All right, this is Fall 2 reporting and certification. All our trainings have a specific audience, and so this training is targeting data coordinators, those of you who do the primary data entry, uh, the primary data submission for your LEA with regards to CalPADS. It's also a course that we would expect you to take every year. If you have several years of experience and typically are successful, advanced may be a more appropriate for you. It's condensed and faster pace. But if you have moderate level experience or you're new to CalPads, this is a great course because we go into a little bit more detail and it's a little bit longer. So with that, we want to welcome questions. The best method is to use the chat box. It gives all the staff here the opportunity to answer the question. But sometimes we have to research or we could provide documentations as sources. So I encourage the chat box. And if the question should be read, one of the trainers will bring it to my attention, or if Kyron's presenting, I'll bring it to his attention so it can be addressed to the audience. And so all the trainings are wrapped in the training sequence. So if you're new, this is a useful information for you. Highlighted in the salmon color is this training fall to reporting certification, and everything above it and to the left was prerequisite material. And those bubbles are not just single trainings; they're groupings of trainings. And so, for instance, the fall two data population, there's 5 different file types, and then Matt was giving a live training, which is condensed. It talks about the submission, how those files are related, and how to get it in. But each of those file types have their own individual training. So there's a lot of information. And so this training alone does not prepare you to fall two if you don't have the background knowledge. So work with your CSIS monitor. You have one. So if you're new, find out who your CSIS monitor is, and then be open to reviewing some of that prerequisite material. And as you ask questions, we may reference it. So just keep that in mind. And then lastly, uh, about this training is we have several objectives for all of our trainings. This is a reporting certification training. And so overall, we want to prepare you for the submission and successful certification. And in doing so, we need you to be able to identify the source systems to connect data and stakeholders across the ecosystem. So it's really not data entry. You can't submit data and just think that's it. Paul 2 requires you to connect with other people. We'll talk about who those people are here shortly. And you have to build those relationships because you're going to require their assistance. You have to be able to transform data so that it conforms to the status. That's more what we think about, right? We're going to correct errors and submit data, identify, what each field requirement is, and make sure we have the appropriate data populated. You have to be able to resolve certification errors using a systematic approach and analytical mindfulness. So, really, this is critical thinking. That's one thing that's overlooked. All of the successful data coordinators are great problem solvers. And this really is every aspect of CalPADS requires critical thinking. Um, Nothing's straightforward, nothing's consolidated. Kyron's user manual is the best consolidation of information, and there's worlds of information outside the user manual. So, problem solving and critical thinking uh, is really what's going to lead you. The answers aren't always straightforward. And then, of course, you're in a unique position. You will find that you're going to be a person who has to answer questions for your LEA. So, if you're new, they're going to come to you, and that and initially you don't have the answers. It won't be your job, but as you grow in the position, those answers will be readily available and you will have to provide them. So just embrace it, try to find the answers. I get a lot of questions every week that have little to do with CalPads, and I do my best to help provide my LEAs with resources. And so, uh, if it's data education related, they'll come to you because, they just assume you know all. So you expect to become a data leader within your LEA. And so let's walk through the agenda real quickly. That was the introduction. We will begin the actual training with the overview, give you a background of CalPADS Fall 2. Then we'll go into the details, talk a little bit about the submission, just to give you the basis of what you're going to be certifying. Then Kyron demonstrates the certification process, talks about errors, how to use the new functionality of the DDs to be efficient when troubleshooting. I'll I'll take over for Kyron and do a review of the reports, talk about what to look for, and the report specs, and then we'll conclude with the wrap up. And this typically takes all the time. So about 2.5 hours.